How is it possible to stay calm when everything around you is falling apart? Marcus Aurelius faced war, plague, betrayal, and the crushing burden of ruling the Roman Empire. Yet he wrote in his private journal, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't be." What kind of inner strength allows someone to remain composed in the heart of chaos? And more importantly, how can you access that strength today? The answer lies in an ancient philosophy that doesn't make headlines, but it has rescued minds for centuries. It doesn't promise happiness, it trains you for life. This is Stoicism. Today, here on Diary Stoic, I'll reveal 8 powerful Stoic lessons that will not only help you keep calm in difficult situations, but reshape how you handle everyday challenges. These are not abstract ideas, they are practical tools, timeless principles tested by emperors, warriors, slaves, and thinkers, and now ready to be used by you. Whether you're facing a toxic co-worker, financial stress, heartbreak, or uncertainty about the future, Stoicism offers something most philosophies don't: clarity. You'll learn how to master the one thing you truly control: your mind. You'll see why chasing comfort leads to weakness and why embracing discomfort builds strength. You'll understand why the Stoics believed that the judgment we place on events is the true source of our suffering, not the events themselves. And stay until the very end, because lesson number 1 is the most powerful of them all. It's the core idea that transforms Stoicism from a concept into a daily practice of unshakable calm. If you're tired of reacting, of being emotionally hijacked, of feeling like life is just happening to you, this video is your invitation to take back control, to train your mind like a warrior, to become calm in the chaos. Before we dive in, let me challenge you to comment below with this simple phrase: "I choose calm over chaos." Let it be your first public declaration of Stoic strength. Lesson 8. True peace is not dependent on external events. The Stoics made a fundamental distinction that most people ignore: the separation between what is within our control and what is not. Epictetus wrote, "There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will." These were not words written in comfort. Epictetus was born a slave. He lived under someone else's command, yet he taught that true freedom had nothing to do with chains or status. It had everything to do with mastering your own judgment. Throughout history, the Stoics endured the chaos of collapsing empires, natural disasters, and personal loss. Marcus Aurelius ruled during one of the most unstable periods in Roman history, yet his writings are not filled with panic or bitterness, but clarity and calm. Why? Because he trained himself to accept what he could not control and to direct all his effort toward what he could. Picture this: you're sitting in traffic, running late, and your phone buzzes with a message that ruins your mood. You feel the heat rising in your chest. You want to curse, blame, fight back. But what if you didn't? What if instead you said to yourself, "This is outside of my control, and because it is, I release it"? You're not giving up, you're stepping up to guard your peace. Today, this teaching applies every time a plan changes last minute, every time someone disappoints you, every time life throws something unexpected. You have 2 choices: let the external world decide your internal state, or train your mind like a warrior trains for battle. Because here's the truth: life will never stop being unpredictable, but you can stop being disturbed by it, and that's where your power begins. Mini reflection: peace begins where control ends. But what Marcus Aurelius wrote in the next lesson challenges even the strongest minds. Lesson 7. Master your thoughts before trying to master the world. Before trying to fix the chaos outside, the Stoics demanded we first examine the noise within. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." As emperor, He had armies, advisors, and power over millions. But he understood that the true battlefield was internal. He didn't fear invasions as much as he feared his own untrained thoughts. The historical context makes this more powerful. Marcus faced relentless pressure, political unrest, betrayal from close allies, and the constant threat of disease and war. And yet, amidst it all, he wrote to himself, not about revenge or ambition, but about reason, self-restraint, and staying present. He knew the world couldn't be tamed, but his mind could. Imagine waking up to a flood of messages, social media comparisons, deadlines, and drama. You feel behind before you even begin. This is modern warfare. But here's the truth. The world will always pull your attention outward. Stoicism pulls it inward. Instead of chasing control over people, news, or outcomes, you practice discipline over your own thoughts. A modern metaphor. Your mind is a room. If it's cluttered, you trip over everything. You can't think. But if you clean it, organize it, guard what enters, you move with ease, you see clearly. Every morning you get to choose. Let your mind be a battlefield or a place of stillness. This principle applies every time you want to react impulsively. When anger rises, when doubt creeps in, when anxiety storms through, don't try to control the storm. Control your interpretation of it. Because thoughts, unchecked, become chains. But thoughts, examined, become tools. Mini reflection, rule your mind, or it will rule you. And what Seneca taught in the next lesson strikes even deeper, especially in a world addicted to speed. Lesson 7. Master your thoughts before trying to master the world. Before attempting to fix the chaos around you, the Stoics insisted you must first confront the chaos within. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Coming from a man who ruled the greatest empire of his time, these words hold weight. Despite commanding legions and holding absolute authority, he recognized that true power wasn't external, it was internal. Historically, Marcus lived under immense pressure. The Roman Empire faced border wars, a deadly plague, and political instability. Yet in his personal writings, never meant for publication, he focused not on controlling others, but on refining himself. He knew that if he didn't master his own thoughts, no position or title would bring him peace. Imagine waking up today and being pulled in every direction. Notifications, comparisons, urgent emails, bad news. The modern mind is under siege. But instead of trying to manage everything and everyone, what if you turned inward? What if you focused on ordering your thoughts before reacting to the world? Think of your mind as a garden. If you don't tend to it daily, weeds grow, resentment, jealousy, fear. But if you watch it, nourish it with discipline, and remove what doesn't belong, it becomes a space of clarity. Every day, life will challenge your inner order, and every day, you must return to your post as its guardian. This Stoic principle shows up every time you're triggered, when someone cuts you off, when you're misunderstood, when things don't go as planned. Instead of lashing out or collapsing, you pause. You step back. You observe. You train the one thing no one can take from you, your mind. But what Seneca taught in the next lesson strikes even deeper, especially in a world addicted to speed. Lesson 6. Slow is smooth, and smooth is powerful. In a world obsessed with speed, the Stoics taught slowness, not laziness but deliberate action. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Rushing leads to assumptions, to overreaction, to decisions made in fear. But when you slow down, when you observe, when you think before you move, you reclaim control. Seneca lived in the political whirlwind of Nero's court, where a single word could mean exile or execution. Yet he often withdrew, both physically and mentally, to reflect right and refine his judgment. He knew that inner stillness was not a luxury, it was armor. While others raced to please the emperor or outmaneuver rivals, Seneca moved deliberately, with focus and restraint. Now imagine this today. You're overwhelmed by deadlines, flooded by messages, and under pressure to respond immediately. The temptation is to act fast, type quickly, decide impulsively, react emotionally. But what if instead you paused? Even just for 5 seconds, that pause could prevent a mistake, a regret, or an unnecessary conflict. That pause could save your peace. Think of an elite soldier in combat. They don't flail. They breathe. They assess. Every move is calculated. This is not weakness. It's power under control. And that's what Stoicism teaches. Don't be led by the speed of the world. Lead yourself by the strength of your mind. This lesson appears every time you feel the urgency to defend yourself, to prove a point, to fix everything immediately. But the Stoic knows urgency is often a trap. True calm comes from moving slowly and seeing clearly. What Epictetus taught next will force you to question your deepest instincts. Lesson 5, freedom begins where desire ends. Epictetus, once a slave with no possessions or status, taught the kind of freedom that most emperors never achieve. He said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." To the Stoics, craving was a chain. The more you desired, the more vulnerable you became, because desire hands power to what you do not possess. Epictetus's life was a contradiction, physically owned by another yet mentally free. He endured hardship, physical disability, and social limitation. But he mastered the art of desiring less, not in bitterness, but in clarity. He taught that the fewer things you need, the fewer things can disturb you. Now place this idea in modern life. Think of how often peace is shattered by desire. You scroll through social media and suddenly feel discontent. You want a better car, a better body, more recognition. You think, if only I had that, I'd be happy. But desire is a moving target. It never stays satisfied. Picture a dog chasing a car. Even if it catches it, then what? Desire works the same way. You spend your energy chasing, and when you arrive, the goal has already moved. The Stoic flips this. Instead of chasing more, they train the mind to need less. They pursue virtue, not pleasure. This teaching shows up every time you feel restless, jealous, or unsatisfied. It whispers in the background when you say, "I'll be happy when..." But Epictetus reminds you that when is a lie. You're not missing anything except the ability to recognize enough. But what Marcus Aurelius realized in the next lesson will shift how you see time itself. Lesson 4. Time is borrowed, not owned. Marcus Aurelius wrote with urgency, even while holding the highest position in the world. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. This wasn't morbid, it was liberating. The Stoics believed that remembering death wasn't about fear, but about clarity. Because once you accept that time is not promised, you start using it with purpose. Marcus lived surrounded by death, his own children, his generals, citizens struck by plague. Yet instead of collapsing into despair, he used mortality as a mirror. Each morning, he reminded himself that this day could be his last, and that made every act more meaningful, every word more careful, every emotion more measured. Bring this into today. We postpone life constantly. I'll start next month. I'll say it tomorrow. I'll fix it later. But we assume time is ours, when in truth it's only on loan. You don't own tomorrow. You barely own the next hour. And the Stoics saw that as a reason to live better, not panic, but presence. Imagine this. Every morning you receive a deposit of hours. You can't save them, you can't transfer them. You can only use them, waste them on regret or distraction, and they're gone. Invest them in truth, growth, stillness, and they become part of your legacy. This lesson appears every time you delay action, hold back honesty, or sleepwalk through the day. The Stoic doesn't wait for permission to live. They understand life is not short. We just waste too much of it. But the brutal honesty in Seneca's next teaching forces you to confront something deeper. Lesson 3. Suffering is not in the event, but in your judgment of it. Epictetus made a radical claim. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This wasn't just philosophy, it was survival. Born into slavery and crippled in one leg, Epictetus refused to see himself as a victim. He believed that pain was inevitable, but suffering was optional. Because suffering is created not by events themselves, but by the meanings we attach to them. In his time, Epictetus watched people fall apart over insults, status, or fortune. But he didn't. He trained himself to view every external blow as an opportunity, to test his judgment, his patience, his reason. He didn't deny discomfort. He simply refused to let it define him. Now think of today. You lose your job. Someone betrays you. A plan fails. The instinct is to collapse into stories. This always happens to me. I'm a failure. Life is unfair. But these stories aren't the truth. They are judgments, and judgments are choices. Imagine your mind as a courtroom. Events walk in every day, and you are the judge. You decide what meaning they carry. You can choose to see setbacks as curses or as training. You can choose to let words wound or let them pass through untouched. You decide. This lesson shows up every time you feel insulted, rejected, or abandoned. The event might be real, but the suffering, that's something you contribute. The Stoic learns to pause before passing judgment, not because they're indifferent, but because they're free. Lesson 2, strength is quiet, not loud. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, had unmatched power. He could command armies, sign death orders, and reshape the world with a word. Yet in his private journal he reminded himself, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one. He didn't seek applause. He sought alignment between his principles and his actions. Historically, Marcus wasn't writing for the public. His meditations were never meant to be published. They were reminders to himself to be calm, patient, honest, just, and disciplined. While others fought for recognition, he fought for self-mastery. That's why his words endure, because they came from a man more interested in being strong than looking strong. Apply this now. Social media rewards volume. People shout their opinions, show off achievements, measure value in likes. But the Stoic doesn't need noise. The Stoic doesn't post virtue, they practice it. You won't find them defending their ego. You'll find them showing up, doing the work, honoring their word, even when no one is watching. Picture a mountain. It doesn't move. It doesn't explain itself. It doesn't need to. That's Stoic strength, quiet, rooted, immovable. In a world chasing validation, real power is in those who don't need to prove anything. This lesson arises every time you feel tempted to argue, to boast, or to explain yourself endlessly. True strength is silent, not because it's hiding, but because it's secure. And the Stoic trains in silence so they can act with clarity. But the final lesson is the foundation of all the others, and it changes everything. Lesson 1. Control yourself or be controlled by everything. At the core of Stoicism lies one brutal truth. If you don't govern your own mind, the world will do it for you. Epictetus warned, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And this wasn't poetic exaggeration. It was survival wisdom from someone who lived under absolute external control, yet found absolute inner power. Imagine ancient Rome, where chaos was constant. Empires rose and fell. Citizens were banished overnight. Fortunes shifted in hours. The Stoics weren't sheltered from this. They were inside it, and their response was not to run, but to fortify themselves from within, because the world will always pull, provoke, and tempt. Only the self-disciplined can remain unmoved. Now bring that into your life. Your phone rings, your boss pressures, someone online insults you, your family disappoints you, a fear creeps in. The moment you lose control of yourself, your speech, your emotions, your attention, you've surrendered your freedom. You've given it away to whatever stimulus hit you first. Picture a candle in the wind. If unprotected, it flickers and dies with every gust. But build a glass around it, and it continues to burn. Your mind is that candle. Stoicism is the glass. Without it, you're at the mercy of whatever comes next. With it, you remain steady, no matter what blows around you. This lesson lives every time you're triggered. When anger bubbles, when temptation whispers, when panic rises, the untrained mind obeys those impulses. The Stoic observes them and chooses a higher response, not from repression, but from discipline. Because in the end, all the wisdom of Stoicism points to this: self-control is the root of freedom. Without it, you're a puppet. With it, you're unshakable. Now that you've heard all 8 lessons, it's your turn to embody them, not someday, today. Because the calm you're looking for doesn't come from changing the world. It comes from mastering yourself in it. And now we arrive at the end, but truly it's the beginning of something more important, the daily battle for your inner peace. Let's take one final look at what we've learned together. True calm begins when you stop depending on external events for your peace. Real strength starts by mastering your thoughts before trying to master the world. Wisdom means slowing down in a world obsessed with speed. Freedom is found when you let go of desire. Time becomes sacred when you stop believing it's guaranteed. Suffering fades when you stop labeling every event as good or bad. Power grows in silence, not in noise. And most of all, if you don't control yourself, everything else will. 8 lessons. 8 reminders that you are more powerful than you think, not because of what you can control out there, but because of what you can govern in here. But information alone doesn't transform. Practice does. So here's your challenge. This week, choose just one of these lessons and apply it every single day. Whether it's choosing to pause before reacting, letting go of something you can't control, or reminding yourself that time is borrowed, don't just think stoically. Live stoically. Start small. Consistency is greater than intensity, and I want to hear from you. Which of these Stoic teachings would you apply in your life today? Share it in the comments. Your answer might inspire someone else who's silently fighting their own battle. And if you made it to this moment, you've done more than most. So comment this simple but powerful phrase as your final badge of honor. Calm is my power. This is Diary Stoic, where ancient wisdom meets modern discipline. See you in the next lesson.